I recently had to experience something that scarred me for life. But what I did after was even crazier. Picture this. Morphine still fogged my brain, IV beeping beside me, and my husband texted, "Can't make it today." Minutes earlier, I'd signed away his fortune. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. I'd always believed marriage was a partnership. My name's Rachel Blake, I'm 42, and until last spring, I thought Mark and I shared everything. Our modest Denver bungalow, long Sunday runs, and the software consultancy I'd built from a dusty spare bedroom. Whenever Mark bragged about our success, I swallowed the uneasy note that it was mostly mine. Have you ever downplayed your own wins just to keep the peace? 3 months ago, a searing ache in my side yanked me out of a client meeting. By dusk, a surgeon confirmed my appendix was plotting mutiny. The last thing I remember before the anesthetic hit was whispering Mark's name to the nurse and pressing my wedding ring for courage. When I opened my eyes 12 hours later, Mark wasn't there. Only a wilted get-well balloon from the hospital gift shop and a post-it. Big pitch 9 a.m. Proud of you. M. That balloon seemed to sag with each beep of the monitor. A nurse muttered something about priorities under her breath, and I felt my chest tighten. You've had moments where disappointment turns to clarity, right? Lying under that scratchy blanket, I flashed back to our 10th anniversary party. Mark clinking glasses, telling our friends he let me run the business so he could focus on vision. The memory tasted like too sweet champagne. The next afternoon, my longtime attorney and oldest college friend, Monica Reyes, appeared. She'd drawn up a will change months earlier after I'd hinted at Mark's new sports car obsession and our dwindling joint savings. We'd postponed signing until that day. I scrawled my name with a shaky hand, leaving 80% of my estate to a STEM scholarship for underserved girls, 15% to my younger brother's disability fund, and a polite but chilly 5% to Mark, conditioned on acts of ongoing marital support. Monica slid the document into her briefcase, squeezed my hand, and said, "Future-proofing never hurts." I felt a spark of wicked calm. That evening, I FaceTimed Mark. My hair was plastered to my forehead, IV taped to my arm. He picked up from what looked suspiciously like a sports bar's patio, loud music, neon beer signs. "Babe, surgery went great," I began, voice scratchy. He winced. "Rach, I'm swamped. The pitch moved to tonight. Tomorrow for sure, okay?" I caught the reflection of a champagne flute near his shoulder. Fury burned hotter than my incision. Next morning, still alone, I replayed our last year in mental high speed. Mark's late nights researching, the $14,000 withdrawal marked investment opportunity, and his new cologne that reeked of teenage rebellion. Each piece snapped into place like puzzle corners. Have you ever realized the picture was uglier than you dared imagine? By discharge day, I could shuffle 20 feet without fainting. Mark finally materialized, clutching carnations that matched my hospital gown. He chirped, "Let's get you home, champ," as if absence were normal. I smiled thinly, nodded, and signed the release papers. But inside, a clock had started ticking. Nostalgia flash. On the ride home, I stared at winter bare cottonwoods whipping past and remembered childhood road trips with Mom. Mixtapes, sun-warm vinyl seats, her vow that real love meant showing up when it's inconvenient. Her words felt like a seatbelt across my heart. At home, Mark tucked me into bed, kissed my forehead, and vanished to the office. I opened our joint banking app, overdrawn by $2,300. A hush followed, the kind that creeps before a storm. I texted Monica. Green light. The weeks crawled. I healed. Mark hustled mysterious angel investors. When he bothered to ask, I played model convalescent. Fragile smile, careful gratitude. You know that thin ice politeness before confrontation? It buys time. 34 days post-op, Monica invited us to a casual estate planning brunch. Mark showed up in his favorite power blazer, expecting mimosas. Instead, he found Monica's conference room, a notary, and my revised will on a mahogany table. He blinked at the 5% clause like it was written in Martian. "Rachel, honey, is this a draft?" His laugh was brittle. I met his eyes. "It's executed." Monica slid letters from 3 creditors across the table, debts Mark had hidden by forging my electronic signature. His face drained to ash. Boom. There was our ticking clock. Wire repayments due in 10 business days or litigation. Mark sputtered excuses, industry norms, temporary leverage. But the signatures were undeniable. Monica explained that criminal charges could follow. I added softly, "Marital support includes honesty. That's the deal you broke." Have you ever watched someone try to outrun quicksand? Mark lunged for charm. Flowers, breakfast in bed, grand apologies. Each gesture bounced off the steel of my decision. I filed for divorce citing financial misconduct. Colorado's laws favored equitable distribution, but my separate business assets, and new will, meant Mark's slice shrank to a legal crumb. Mid-divorce deposition, we hit the jaw-drop reveal. Mark had funneled $60,000 of my earnings into a stealth crypto fund he labeled Rainy Day Getaway. He planned to disappear if his pitches failed. The lawyer pushed printouts across the table. Mark's lower lip quivered. Nostalgia flash. The sight of those spreadsheets yanked me back to sophomore year accounting lab, highlighter scrawls and coffee breath when Mark copied my homework. Just this once. I'd laughed then. Now the memory tasted burnt. Mark's collapse was fast. Creditors froze his accounts. His startup pals ghosted. He begged me to mediate. I offered mediation if he surrendered the house title and signed a no-contest divorce. That's strategic justice, not cruelty. A week later, he inked. I held off celebration until closing day. Snow shimmered across the front lawn as the notary stamped the deed solely to my name. Mark trudged down the porch steps carrying 2 suitcases. He turned, eyes glassy. "You'll regret this. I loved you." I answered with the truth. "Real love shows up. You didn't." He flinched like I'd slapped him. Watching his Uber slide away, I felt a surprising swell of peace. Still, vindication needed a symbol. I boxed our wedding album, slipped in a copy of the revised will, and mailed it to Mark's new studio apartment. Inside the cover, I penned Mom's creed. Showing up matters most. 2 days later, he texted a single word. "Why?" then went silent. The final domino fell a month later when the scholarship fund launched. Local media covered the ribbon cutting. Rows of bright-eyed high school girls clutching laptops bought with money Mark once counted on. Cameras captured my smile under the banner Blake Women in Tech Award. Did Mark see the broadcast? I don't know, but he would have recognized the property behind me. The bungalow he'd forfeited, now buzzing with mentors and code workshops. Nostalgia flash. I caught a whiff of fresh-baked brownies in the community kitchen and was back in Mom's 1989 galley, her timer dinging as she drilled my multiplication tables. Sweet memory. Renewed purpose. That night, I dropped my ring into a mason jar of sea salt, one last cleanse, and set it on the porch railing where moonlight refracted through crystal facets like a lighthouse. I whispered my closing line to the quiet street, more to myself than anyone. Never bet against a woman who keeps receipts. I believe stories like this find us for a reason. If this one touched you, please subscribe. I share a new one every day, and tomorrow's might be the one your heart's been waiting for.